Every time I had a project, my dad used to tell me, keep it for yourself, do it, and then after tell it. I will always remember that part. And he's right. You can't tell your project to anyone.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Real Estate Investors Club podcast. I'm here today with Steven Svss, who is a Montreal investor. I could say like myself, unlike myself. We met at one of the Real Estate Investors Club networking events. You can see him sometimes volunteering, manning the book table, being around generally in the ether. And we're going to have a little conversation today about mindset and how Steven was able to mentally align himself to be able to do what he does. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for the invitation, Terry. It's a pleasure. Always here to help Real Estate Investor Club.
Great. All right. So just by way of us getting started, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about who you are and what's your journey been to be sitting on this podcast with me today, talking about investing and mindset?
Yeah, perfect. So to start my journey, I started real estate investing around when I was 18. The first fourplex I bought was 18, 19. It was in Sorel Tracy, as I told you initially. I wasn't supposed to be in the real estate investment world. It was my parents who forced me to be in the real estate investment world. They thought I wanted to have a car, an Acura TL back in the days, and they said, you know what, you were able to manage to save up to 10,000, buy yourself a house. I'm like, you know what, I don't want to buy myself a house. I'm young, I'm 18, I want to flash, I want to drive nice car. All my friends have nice cars. My turn. And my mom, my lovely mom, convinced me to go into real estate, and so we started looking. And with $10,000 back in the days was still a lot, but not a lot. And the only thing I was able to find was a fourplex in Sorel Tracy. It was a really good life experience. All type of the baddest tenants possible, I all found them over there. I think they all live in that area, I believe. I had a very bad experience of Sorel Tracy. It's a good school, but there's no value in my eyes. I didn't know the area as well. I know some people do very good in Sorel Tracy, but from a guy from the east of Montreal, to Sorel Tracy wasn't a good call, but at least it was a good learning experience. So $10,000, it's now the prices of the coaching in these days. So I paid the price for the coaching back in the days.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
explain to me like what happened from Sorel Tracy. So first of all, like I remember you told me this story like over coffee. So, tell me first of all, did you make any money? When you got out of that, how did that then turn into something else if it was such a bad experience? Like just map that out for me.
Yeah, making money out of it. Experience, there's no value. You can't price the experience. So unlimited money. So I know how to deal with all kinds of tenants. The first time I met the first day when I went to take the collection from one of the tenants, I had to raise my hand saying, "Hey, I'm the new owner." That's how I got the first approach from my new tenant. I sold that property maybe 5 years after because it was too much back and forth. When I was going to remortgage, like when my loan was ending, it's either I remortgage or I sell it, and there was no value, and we didn't like to go. It's like an hour of drive, and I don't know if you ever went that area. It's like empty roads, so you go to the by the 30, it's all empty, empty, empty. So it was boring. So we decided to sell it. We bought it 100,000, and we sold it back like I think around 116. So if you remove the agent commission and all the money we put in, maybe we capitalized maybe around 6, 7 thousand. But yeah, so after that, I didn't buy any properties. It was in 2008, 16, 16, yeah, 2016 around. I bought my first real estate investment. Like, yeah, the fourplex was an investment as well, but my first project was a nineplex in Verdun. Little I know, I go out from the notary, go visit our new acquisition, and there's all tape over all over the building saying that people can't live there anymore because the foundation just dropped. Right away, we called the lawyer, we called the notary, saying, "Hey, it wasn't like that yesterday. Happened last inspection we saw it wasn't like that. So there's a vis cashier or something like that." So the notary frees the funds, and we had a negotiation with the seller, and the seller was pretty in a rush to leave the country, so he accepted our offer, and then I went in the journey of optimization and renovation, and since then, I always buy buildings with lot of issues. People that don't want those kind of buildings, I'm like, hey, I love those kind of buildings. So anything with fire, with extermination, with soil contamination, foundation issues, roofing, plumbing, name it. That's where my eyes go and find love.
Yeah, call Steven. I love it. All right, but like without getting too much into, specifics of the business model and like exactly what you're doing, we wanted to I mean, I wanted to rehash the conversation we had over coffee over what you had to do mentally to get yourself to be able to do what you do, because I think, we connected, both of us did a Tony Robbins seminar,
Yes.
and we talked a little bit about that journey. How do you see your mental journey that ran alongside your investment journey, and how did those two things like fit into each other?
My 100% mental, like that, the state of mind I have right now, it's only after Tony Robbins. But even before that, I was the type of a person that goes all in. Like I'm not scared of a lot of stuff, so I just like jump and deal with it. And I was like before the club and the real estate investment club, no one was telling out large how to invest. My surrounding wasn't about investment. I'm from Sri Lanka, so back home, like I'm raised here. I was born here, but my background is from Sri Lanka, and my parents have used to have big lands in Sri Lanka, huge lands, and in Canada you don't find huge land except of suburbs, and but in Montreal you don't find any. They always had that mentality: we should buy a house, we should buy a land, we should have a property. So but that was their limit. They didn't have any financial education. My dad was the only food provider in the family. My mom was a home mom. So I was raised in a like, don't think too big, do, but don't think too big. Every time I had a project, my dad used to tell me, keep it for yourself, do it, and then after tell it. I will always remember that part, and he's right. You can't tell your project to anyone. You have to have a specific group of person to tell your project. Because if I tell my dad, like sometime I talk to him about my project, and he's like, he doesn't see the big value of it. But if I talk to you, Terry, that you know the risk, you know the investment part of it, and all that, you will understand me, and you could give me good advice, and you could tell me, Steven, you know what, I heard about this. I could introduce you to one of my friends who does that, and we could link on that. But if I go tell to someone that he doesn't know that world, he's going to try us to convince us not to go inside of that project, or to tell us, oh, it's not worth it. Or we always hear a story like, oh, property owners, it's not good because you have to change toilet at Christmas Eve or something like that. We always hear that. But those type of people are not investors like what we found in investment clubs. So so mentally, it's always like challenging because you have to change your surrounding. If you don't change your surrounding, you will always be stuck. So if you want to invest in whatever, if it's real estate or technology or any type of investment you want to do, you have to be around those type of people. It's like in French, a sect. What's in English?
A sect, yeah, no,
A
like
sect.
a
Okay, yeah.
cult, a
A
cult,
cult.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
a
could
cult.
say,
Yeah.
yeah.
You have to be in that cult, like to be order to, because everyone's crazy. But real estate investment, it's very crazy. You have to be extra crazy because you have all the media that's against us. Some tenants are against us. Banks now are against us. So you see, like a lot of people now in my real estate surrounding, some of them are saying, "Stop buying, wait and see," because the interest rate tomorrow they're we don't know what's going to happen, but it's either they're increasing, keeping at the same rate, or decreasing. I'm pretty sure. I'm hoping they're just going to stay at the same rate, which is 4.75, I believe, or 4.5. But I hope that it won't make any changes. But everyone is like under panic mode because we don't know what's going to happen. The future is like the banks are changing a lot of laws. CMHC is stating a lot of laws. So we have to believe that what you do is good, and you cannot predict the future. You could predict now, and just you should keep on moving. If not, you're dead. Like if you don't move, you're dead. And I recently told a tenant of mine because she was wondering why I bought that building. I told her, "You came here with nothing. We go here with nothing as well. In between, just have fun and learn." So I'm doing a big project of decontamination, and I'm learning. I'm like, I'm just going with the flow. Yeah. So every month when I go to the club, you guys inspire me a lot, mindset wise. GP, he does crazy deals. So and when you talk to that person, you don't see a person like on top. You see an equal person. He's talking to you as an equal, and you're like, oh, if he's like that and he does that, and he tells you exactly what to do, why can't we do the same thing? So you
Mhm.
just have to have like before the club, I had a small partnership, and they were against all those classes because you gotta admit some classes they little bit scam, and they don't know what they're saying, and there's just everyone know how to do marketing online, and then they sell classes and everything. But when there's a group behind it and there's a lot of people behind it, for sure, there's some real education going on. So you have to look the background, and you have to jump in those kind of schools to be able to think outside of the box, because before you don't know the difference with a fourplex or a sixplex, or the how to calculate and everything. But when you learn them and you have people that are here to help you out, it's a different ball game.
Yeah. Have you really been listening to the episode, or has your monkey mind been taking you off in one direction or another? Our mental habits can be our biggest assets or our biggest liabilities as we pursue certain goals. For me, the biggest performance gains have always come from training my mind. In my book, Mindful Landlord, I talk about how you can train your mind and how you can apply some of these strategies to your journey in the real estate field. The book is available on Amazon and also on its website, mindfullandlord.com. Now I'll stop evangelizing for the power of mental training and let you get back to the show. No, I think, as you're talking, like I was reminded of, we had one person in the Q&A session in our last event who stood up and was like, yeah, I'm a young investor. I'm trying to get going. And every time I have an idea, like I bring it to family dinner, and then everybody who's sitting around the table picks me apart, and I walk out of there like with my tiny bit of confidence being destroyed. What do you guys suggest? And I think your what you just said speaks so well to that, because I think you're absolutely right. Like you can't be totally, cut off and secretive about everything you want to do, because then you're cutting yourself up from like valuable feedback and criticism from the people who you should be receiving valuable criticism from. And so then that becomes a question of peer group. And then how do you generate a peer group? Like, be it, let's say you want to do something you want to start a business, or you want to like become successful as an investor. You need a peer group who's going to help you do that. And if you just sit in your in your closet and like speak to the speak to the walls about whatever your projects are. You're not going to be getting that feedback that's going to help you save time and like learn how to better your game, which is ultimately like what we're all trying to do. And like, I want to thank you for the shout out to the Real Estate Investors Club, but you're actually right. Like organizations like that are instant peer group,
Yeah.
and it happens like a lot of us, like I can speak for myself. Like I was a total solo investor for 10 years, didn't have any friends who did this. And it took me a really long time to start to scale my business because I was just like basically working by myself in my room, not around any type of community. And so like when you find a bunch of people who are like real nerds of a certain subject, where
Mhm.
everybody has their little piece of spice that they can put into the mix, like I think it is extremely valuable. And I'm glad to hear that was a important cornerstone of leveling up. But so let's talk a little bit about coaching, because I think that in certain circles people are a bit suspicious of coaching, be it coming to the Real Estate Investors Club as like a local organization with very specific things. We've both been through the Tony Robbins system and have seen the impact of like what 3-4 days of intensive coaching can do. What do you have to say about that? I mean, to all the doubters and the people who are like, that's too much money, or it's too much time commitment, or that's not for me, that's for someone else. Like, why is it that when we walk into, like the last Real Estate Investors Club meeting, like the presenter has been to Tony Robbins, and we all have these like common experiences of doing these coaching programs, not only just in real estate, but in life in general. So I don't know what's your reflection on that?
If you want to compare with pricing wise, okay, if the people are saying it's too much, okay, let's say for real estate investment club coachings, okay, you go to a notary, it's going to cost you like two, three, $4,000. The lady is going to read you a document, and it's going to be okay. Sign here, sign here, sign here. Thank you. Have a great day. Like a real estate coaching is going to cost you maybe $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. It's 7 weeks, 7 months, right?
10
7 months,
weeks. Yeah, no, it's 10 weeks now.
10 weeks, 10 weeks of coaching, and you have one-on-one calls you could do, and they don't read your document. They look, all experienced coaches, you included, GP and everyone inside, that they're in the industry. They do deals every day, and they giving you without any filter their knowledge to help you to grow. You don't want to pay that price, but you're willing to pay $3,000-$4,000 with a notary, and she's staying with you for 30 minutes and reading you a paper, and she's not going to say, "Hey, Terry, this deal is not good because look at the cap rate, or look at the capex you have to put, or look at the ceilings are leaking." Or she's not going to analyze anything. She's just going to analyze the deed of sale, the certificat de localisation, your mortgage contract. She's not going to give you any opinion. She's going to read it to you. Do you understand? No? Okay, let me reread it to you. Do you understand? Yes? Okay, sign here. She's not going to start negotiating. Let's say your loan is not good, and there's a slight thing that the lender is asking you. It's a bit aggressive. She's not going to tell you all that. She's going to read it to you. This is what that party says. This is what this party says. Is it correct between you, what you guys negotiated? Yes? Perfect. Sign this. Thank you. I'm going to put it on the registre whatever, and that's it. So you're saying it's too much money to take a class of experience on the field people. That's what they have to do their own calculation. And now mindset. Everyone spends times on Facebook, Instagram, and whatsoever. Okay, I used to waste around an hour and a half per day on Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat, and all those
Social media.
social media. Yeah, I deleted all that from my phone because when I saw that, I'm like, hey, I'm wasting my time. So let's say an average, it costs you, you're making an average pay of $50 per hour. Okay, so per week I'll take my calculator because I'm not that good in math. And you don't need to be do good in math to do real estate. You could have Excel that do miracles. So 50 by 7 is 350, okay? So you're wasting $350. It's real because it's 7 hours per week. That's minimum. Some people do 2-3 hours per day on social media. So if you're getting paid $50, so you're wasting $350 on nonsense, like on like, hey, Terry went to Cuba there. Oh, I wish I could go to Cuba. Oh, Terry went to New York there. Oh, I wish I could go to New York. Oh, you see the new car of Ghislain. Oh, you're gonna be like you're looking at other people's life without concentrating on your life. And coaches, they are here to wake you up. They get their their product is to make yourself a better person. That's how they do sales. That's why Tony Robbins is so popular because he upgraded people so much in their life, and people why they're still thinking about him because he does a lot of results. It's like Jesus when he came to the world. He did so much miracles, and until 2023, we're still talking about him. Some people don't believe him. Some people does believe him, but we're still talking about him, right? So the same thing as all those coaches. They believe they do good for humanity, so we have to trust them. If one of them it's more about sales, and you want to increase your skills in sales, invest in yourself instead of watching other people living their life. Go work that extra hour that you spend on social media and put that 350. UPW is 400 US, comes to like 500-600 Canadian money when you do online. You could go on site as well. It's going to be a better 100%. You did it on site, right?
I did it in person,
In person, yeah.
7 years ago, and it was $600 US. I was sitting like in the back of, the auditorium in San Jose, so I had to pay for like my plane ticket and stuff like that. But honestly, like I was already in the area anyway, and to add on that additional $600 US, like price really shouldn't be like,
No,
I think you make a point of the notary, but like the notary is at least related to real estate. Like when you look at the things people spend money on, where you're like, I have people telling me I don't, whatever it is, buying like brand new washing machines for like $2,000 when you can get the exact same machine from the secondhand store, like for half or a third of the price. Let someone else take the major depreciation on those appliances, or like, whatever frivolous things it is that you're spending your money on. Like,
hmm
never mind the notary. Like, it's not that
no, the
difficult to
notary
find
just it was
it's at least for purchasing a building, right?
yeah.
Putting together $600 US, or even cheaper online, like $400 US to pay for 4 days of coaching. You really have no excuse. Like,
And that coach, okay, he coaches around maybe 20,000 people per event. So I believe his skills are proven. If 20,000 people comes in an event and trust whatever he says, even if he's not there physically, he's online or whatsoever, whatever he has to say, it's worth it something. So you have to try. Like we could go at La Ronde. It's gonna cost you like 250,000 dollars for two people, and you have the rush of one day, but it didn't push yourself in another level.
yeah,
Yeah, you had the feeling of going down and up fast, 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 but it's not gonna stick for you lifetime. Me, I did the coaching in 2020 during COVID time, and you did it 7 years ago, and whatever we learned in those periods still applies here. When
yeah,
I do the priming, some mornings there's a on YouTube. It's free. Whoever wants to do go try it. You just write down Tony Robbins priming. It's a 15 minutes priming period. It makes me personally love myself more, love my family more, uh, push myself more. Totally free. So there's a lot of free stuff, but for sure when you pay, you have the commitment that you pay, and you will be more serious because you paid. You don't want to lose your money. you have to work on yourself because we're so limited. We don't like me personally. I had some blockage that I never thought was some blockage, and at his online event, without him personally being here, I was able to unblock those blockages. So, is it a real word in English? Blockages?
Yeah, blockage. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, perfect.
yeah. Yeah, no,
Because in
and
French it's
I
like
think
as.
one of the sort of aha moments for me was also, in talking about like what is the, let's say if you just think for a minute, anybody who's listening to this, like what is the thing that you are the best at? Okay. Like if I think of, maybe where at the time when I attended the seminar, like, well, I was doing pretty well, like in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, like I was doing pretty well in sports. I put like a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort into my sport. And so like the results that I'm getting there are high. And then I look at some of the other aspects of my life and I'm like, why are those other aspects not at the same level? And then the question is, okay, how much coaching did you do? How much practicing did you do? How much, like, what was your commitment level? How much did you read? And then you think about, like, oh my God, all the time and effort I put into getting really good at this one thing, like, I haven't dedicated that kind of effort to everything else. Why would I not apply the same methodology to everything I want to get good at?
Mm,
And I think,
exactly.
be it paying for coaching or reading or like whatever sort of self-development thing it is, like I think I challenge anyone who's listening to this episode, think for a minute about what are you really good at? And I think if you think about it, you're going to then realize all the hours of learning and, maybe a diploma, maybe coaching, maybe life experience, training at the gym, watching YouTube videos, like whatever it is that you did to get really good at that, that's a totally repeatable process that you can just apply to anything. So, I think that that's like in the argument for coaching, and like, if we could say that that's something to do with mindset, it's like understanding that like success is repeatable if you
Yeah,
follow whatever, methodology it takes to get there. I think that's
exactly.
definitely true. But I see we're kind of coming, we've been having a great conversation. I see we're coming a little bit to the end of time, and I have two questions that I really want to get to because they're questions I really care about. So I think the first one is I always like to talk on the show about lifestyle hits, because I think especially in this world where we're like really trapped in the social media cycle that conditions a lot of what goes on in our head, we have a tendency to, think success happens really fast and think everyone's doing better than we are. And I like to like kind of keep it real when I have people on the show and be like, so what was it like for you? I mean, you told us about Sorel Tracy, but like what other kind of lifestyle hits have you taken on the road to get where you are? What sacrifices, what things did you forego? What situations did you put yourself in the name of success in real estate?
Listen, fast. Okay, it happened to me recently. Okay, I had a private lender on a project, and as we all know, the interest rate went high, and the CMHC changes their rules and everything. Okay, and I had a house I was trying to sell. I wasn't able to pay the interest rate on March. Okay, past March, and on and during January, I saw a property, and I was March was the last day I was having my little nest egg to pay the interest rate of the house, and we're not talking about a small amount. We're talking about a big five-digit number. And I was like, you know what? Let me do the offer on that property because it's a very good property. And my wife was saying to me, Steven, you don't have money. You're talking about selling your watches or asking people money and everything, but you're still doing an offer. I don't understand. You're cutting on our family expenses, but you're still trying to work other deals. And for that deal, I had to do a soil test, and the vendor didn't want to do the soil test on his arm. I said, you know what? I still have $16,000 on my credit card, but I didn't have the other for to pay the interest rate. So I'm like, you know what? What's the worst that could happen? I had a good connection with my lender, so with a private lender, so he's talkable a little bit. Thank you, Nauma, if you saw that. and I did the risk, and at the end of the day, I just bought the property last week, and that's the contamination project I'm going to do. And I just have to trust, because if the numbers are good now, and in real estate we could multiply like crazy the profit if you buy good. So if the numbers are good, just believe in yourself, and I believed in myself. Yeah, I wasn't able to go out. Every time that someone was inviting me to go supper and everything, I told them, "Oh, no, I can't. I'm very busy. I have kids. I have 3 kids, so I am busy. But sometimes when I see what kind of friends are inviting me, I know these kind of friends are big spenders. I told them, no, I cannot come. I'm busy with my kids and everything. So I skipped going out. And there's a lot of people think real estate is there's a lot of money, and in social media we always want to put whatever looks good. I don't want to put myself in the morning with not wash my face or anything. I want to put myself all cleaned up and all nicely done. We want to project our best, but in real life, it's not always the best. You have to believe in yourself, and how hard it is, it doesn't matter. You just have to believe in yourself and do it. So that's why, like, it is rough, but what's going to happen? Like I told you previously, we come with nothing, we go with nothing. Even if you lose now, my experience will never, never, never be lost. I could repeat. I could repeat. The only thing you have to be is be intègre. So
Integrity.
integrity is very important. You have to be honest with your people. Like when I was having some hard time to pay the loan 5 months ago, I told my lender, "Hey, listen, in March, I'm gonna maybe start having problem to pay the loan." He was aware, and life is so good because I had an offer in like February to go notary in end of March. Like I didn't when I did the 32 units expense, I didn't have that offer. It was a it was like a 3 weeks notice offer. So I'm like, is it for real? I accepted right away, and life went through that. So I believe that when you trust in life and you're focused on your goal, everything will align. It could seem that it's impossible, but I think till now I didn't hit a wall. Hopefully, I won't hit a wall. But even if I hit a wall, it doesn't matter. Like I believe that knowledge will still always be there, and I could repeat whatever I did.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's also a conversation that I often have with people. Is like, okay, you think that if tomorrow you took away all of Bill Gates's money, he would be working at McDonald's for the rest of his life? No,
No.
right? Like the people are where they are because of they have certain experiences, they have certain knowledge, they have a certain mindset. And even if you bring everything back to zero, you take it all away, somebody who's self-taught and who put themselves where they are, not somebody who was given whatever it is, they have the knowledge to put themselves back there. So no, I think you're definitely right. Um, I wanted to ask you the last question that I usually ask people when they come on the show, and that is, what do you think we should be talking about in the industry that we're not talking about? What topics, what issues, what, I don't know, maybe way people do business or something that we don't mention? Like, what should we be talking about in the industry that doesn't get a lot of airtime?
Well, the last question you asked is something very important. Learning by the mistake of others, and learning by the scarcity of others that are still going is something very important. We don't like it's not a good title. Oh, he had a hard time to pay his interest rate. That's not a good title. Or oh, he lost money on this property. It doesn't sell. You have to put like, oh, he did $100 in 2 years, or $200 in 1 year. But yeah, very proud for him, very good for that person or that group. But at the end of the day, the real struggle is that when he had to negotiate, when he had to take that risk, when he had to put that his house in the mortgage, and his wife were screaming, were negotiating with his wife or her husband, and all that. Like the struggle behind, people don't see it, and when they start doing it, they're like, "Oh, real estate investment, it doesn't work anymore. Like it doesn't. It's not like before." But no, it is like before. It's always challenging. Every life period, it's always challenging. In 1990, yeah, the building were $600,000 for 30, 50 units, whatever. But back then, also people were scared and they were challenging about the loan and everything. So when we look from from future, it was like, oh, we should have, we should have, we should have, we should have. But when you're on the game, like actually, like now in this market right now, yesterday I received mortgage quotation at an interest rate of 8-9%. 8-9%. My private lender used to be 10%. Now Desjardins is giving me 8-9%. So it's fun. Okay, wow, we're buying, but we have to see how we have to talk more about the challenges of daily challenges of everyone on real estate. So we don't have a lot of topic on that. You see, the whole convo, like we did 35 minutes, 30 minutes was only about glory. The last
No.
5 minutes about challenges. A little bit. A little bit.
Yeah. No, but like I generally I agree with you, and that's I mean that's one of the things I try to do with the podcast is to get a little bit at maybe the less sexy side that gets a little bit less airtime. But I think you're absolutely right, and I think one of the other things is also just vulnerability, right? Like a lot of the times we go to events and, sure, it's fun when you go up on stage, you're talking, or when you're having like a cocktail party conversation to talk about all the wins and everything that's going right. But I think, sometimes the mistakes that you make, the challenges that you face, like all of those things or just to ask honest questions, right? Like if you're somebody who's starting out, maybe you want to look more experienced than you are. And so you don't ask the important question that would expose how little you know, but that's precisely the question you should ask.
My wife told me this morning, she said, real estate is something that we always learn something new. It's impossible we'll always know everything. So we always have to be learning. So we shouldn't be shy. I'm never shy to talk about my failures and my challenges. It's something that I rather share, and people will know the real deal behind the investment part. I started recently a group of people that wants to find deals, to help them to find deals together, maybe helping them analyze and everything. And it's been 3 weeks, and every time the same issue. I'm having so much refusal. People don't want to talk to me. They said they don't want to sell, but that's the real life behind our acquisition and everything. I get around 3 to 4 no's per week, and I buy around 3 to 4 buildings per year. So I'm in love with the no.
Like, this is a whole other podcast. This is like a sales podcast. but Steven, so look, we're just about running out of time.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, thank you for taking this time to chat with me, share some of your experiences and your knowledge with the audience. Guys who listen to this, if you enjoyed the episode, share it. Tell your friends about it. Steven, how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about what you do or connect with you?
On social media, where I'm not too much in it now, you could find me on Steven SVSS. If not, you could send me an email, info@alphaestate.ca, alpha ALPHA estate.ca. If not, Real Estate Investment Club. I do volunteering there, either at the front or the book. I don't think so I'll quit for now. It's something great and gives me a lot of value for me, and be part of the movement as well. Subscribe yourself to your podcast and come to the event, and you will have fun and get extreme lot of knowledge for very cheap price.
Well, thank you, Steven, for that unsolicited.
I'm sold. I'm sold. I'm very sold for 100%. There's another topic for another podcast.
Another topic for another podcast. All right. Well, thank you, Steven.
Thank you, Terrie,
have
for
a
your
good
time.
rest of the day.
You too.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.